Hey everyone, this is Derrick Bros with the Conscious Resistance Network. Today is Tuesday, May 5th, 2015, and I want to come at you with this special report on a supposed terrorist attack that took place here in Texas, my home state, in the town of Garland, Texas, which is just outside of Dallas in the Dallas area. I have some friends out there and I'm trying to find more information about this. But let's go over the reports from USA Today, from the independent media, the alternative media, and see if we can dissect exactly what this quote-unquote terrorist attack is. On Tuesday, the Islamic State apparently took credit for the violent but bungled attack on a Texas cartoon contest featuring depictions of the Prophet Muhammad. But families of the attackers say they are washing their hands of it. The two attackers were Elton Simpson, 30 years old, and Nadir Sufi, 34 years old. They were both fatally shot by police after shooting a security guard outside the event in Garland, Texas on Sunday night. The Islamic State claimed responsibility for the attack, although it is not clear if the group's leaders had any knowledge of the attack before it took place. Simpson and Sufi, both Muslim, share an apartment in Phoenix. Simpson had been convicted of making false statements in a 2011 terror case and had told an FBI informant he wanted to kill non-Muslims. So what I've been reading here is from USA Today. Everything I'm about to go over is going to be in the description below. But let's just start right there. So first off, the report says that one of the guys, Simpson, was communicate with an FBI informant. So right off the bat, the presence of FBI agents, I would say, is par for the course for these type of things. Do your own research, or if you pay attention to my work or the work of this channel, then you know very well that the United States government is involved in constantly creating false flag terror attacks, and they don't even have to do it to the extreme of, say, the Oklahoma City bombing or 9/11 or some of the other suspicions that people have. They can simply just arrest somebody and accuse them of terror. And in fact, what we find often is that the FBI and other agencies of the US government use informants, people who've been paid or who are trying to escape crimes themselves, to entrap other people and get them to discuss potentially committing violent acts or even just expressing frustration towards the United States government. And then as soon as they do that, they are arrested, and the United States can claim that they have caught another terrorist. So my guess is the presence of an FBI informant immediately points towards that conclusion. But let's continue. Simpson's family issued a statement through the Phoenix law firm Osborne Maladin saying the family was, quote, heartbroken and in a state of shock. The statement said family members had no idea that Simpson was planning the attack. Now, I want to go forward to a report that was coming from Tony Cartolucci of Land Destroyer blog, and posted on the activistpost.com. Again, this will be in the link below so you can read the full article. But this is from Tony. As with all other staged provocations, including similar shootings in Paris, France, Copenhagen, Denmark, and Sydney, Australia, the suspects were well known to state security agencies for years, but allowed to conspire and carry out predictable, deadly, and politically highly convenient attacks. All of this echoes the similar and long since exposed stage provocations of the notorious Operation Gladio carried out by NATO forces. In Paris, France, the suspects in the so-called Charlie Hebdo shootings were under the watch of security forces for years and were in and out of jail specifically for terrorism. They were known to have left France to join terrorist groups fighting with Western-backed rebels in Syria, only to be left apparently unwatched for the last 6 months leading up to the apparent attack. Now, the attack here in Texas was based on a Draw Muhammad contest organized by the American Freedom Defensive Initiative, the AFDI, which, according to Tony, is performing a neoconservative propaganda program consisting of Bush-era U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations John Bolton, Pamela Geller, and Robert Spencer, and Dutch politician Geert Wilders. So basically, this group that is organizing this event has connections to United Nations and to other people, neocons, and people who stand to benefit from an Islamophobic, anti-Islam message, and to prop up this constant state of war that we see in the global war on terror. Their debut performance was in 2010 when they came out to protest the so-called Ground Zero Mosque. Some of you may remember that, which was supposedly to be built near the ruins of the destroyed World Trade Center towers in New York City. The mosque was never actually built, not because of public backlash, but because the entire controversy was manufactured. The imam allegedly behind the mosque was in fact a member of the Council on Foreign Relations, funded and backed by the very same corporate-funded think tank that set out to protest against the planned mosque. In other words, the entire scandal was manufactured on both sides by the same special interest for the purpose of manipulating the public. Again, that's from Tony Cartalucci of Land Destroyer blog. Now, here's another interesting aspect to it. The Daily Dot reported that a activist outside of the United States connected to the Anonymous Collective had tried to tweet at the Garland Police Department to tell them that there was people tweeting on Twitter about a potential attack on this event. At 5:37 p.m. on Friday, May 1st, the user who requested anonymity for the sake of her security tweeted at the Garland Police Department's official Twitter account warning them of a potential attack. The activist participates with one of multiple Islamic State-related groups that make a hobby of tracking and harassing Islamic State Twitter accounts. On Friday, the user discovered that another Twitter account at Ansar al-Ummah 49 had referenced an upcoming attack in Garland where a group of Americans were planning a Draw Muhammad event. So they were warned about this, at least through Twitter. We know that at the very least. And one of the guys was connected to an FBI informant in some way. Then we have a report. This is from truthandmedia.com, formerly benswan.com. Texas shooting suspect was befriended by informant monitored by the FBI since 2006. So not only was one of these men apparently wanted or suspected of committing a crime for giving false information, but he was being monitored since at least 2006, and this seems again to be par for the course for most of these terror attacks or these people who go crazy, that they are the government's watching them and usually sending out informants to encourage them to get involved in attacks or to do really crazy things. And I think if we give it some time, because I'm not trying to jump the gun here, but I mean already I'm seeing the telltale signs of a American government set up attack. I think if we give it some more time, we're going to find out that there's more involvement with the FBI. According to the Associated Press, the FBI began monitoring Simpson in 2006 by having Dabla Deng, a Sudanese immigrant and FBI informant, befriend him on the grounds that Deng had recently converted and wanted to learn more about Islam. Deng went on to secretly record his discussions with Simpson, and he gathered more than 1,500 hours of recorded conversations for 4 years. The topics of discussion included fighting non-believers for Allah, planning a trip to South Africa to meet their brothers in Somalia, and while using school as an excuse to travel overseas. So, just another report showing that the FBI is indeed involved in, at the least, monitoring this person. But again, even the New York Times at one point wrote an article saying that the FBI is involved with entrapping people all around the country, and that they cross a very thin line on whether or not these people are actually terrorists. Now, I am currently have one of my sources reaching out, trying to get me everything I can on the mother of one of these men, Sharon Sufi, who is apparently living in the Houston area. I'm going to try to contact her. I have a source helping me locate her right now, so I can talk to her and see if she has any more information to share regarding the FBI contacting her son, and see if we can get to the bottom of this. One last issue I want to address is the outright hypocrisy, disgusting rhetoric coming from the quote-unquote liberty movement. And I don't even want to use that word, because these people aren't about liberty. They're just racists and hiding, and the only reason they probably talk about liberty is because they want to use it to get rid of people that they don't support, homosexuals or Islam believers, Islamists. I really hate that term. But this is coming from a president, Jay Stang, of the Oath Keepers, and I think he's involved in the Texas Oath Keepers. And I'm just going to read you a little bit of quote of the from a conversation on Facebook, and I think this is pretty representative of what we see from this type of mindset. So don't be bought into the propaganda. For one, look into the origins of the Islamic State. Ben Swan did an amazing video, I'll also link that below, that completely debunks this idea that the Islamic State is some independent group. It was funded and created through the United States actions and funding, and they're continuing to fund them. And they're using them just like Al-Qaeda as a propaganda tool to scare people in Middle America or in Texas to be afraid. You know, there's been reports of ISIS camps on the border of Mexico and Texas. I think that if these camps are being set up, they're being helped along by the United States government. And in fact, they might let some of these attacks happen to keep you in fear. Thankfully, you know, there was SWAT team there, I guess, to kill these guys, although now we'll never know exactly what they have to say. And this seems to be the case. They either go crazy, they're locked up, they're sent away, and we never really hear the truth of the matter. But here's the quote from Jay Stang of the Texas Oath Keepers. Dearborn is the only city where they have sufficient numbers to run the place. You're looking at this backwards. Muslims will assimilate and be good neighbors when they're in small numbers. As they gain population influence, they become less assimilated. Assimilated? What the fuck is this? And bad neighbors. He says, look at Sweden and Europe to see how this plays out. Yes, they have the freedom to practice their religion. What do we want? He's basically saying, I'm not calling for camps or anything, but some of these people are basically saying that, you know, that these, and one guy, Dave Nall right here, based on responses to the event in Garland, it seems a good number of us are ready to march Muslims off to internment camps and be rid of them. Never mind that we offered them the promise of America and the hope for a better life secured by the rule of law and the presumption that all men are equally innocent regardless of race or religion or place of origin. So that's from Dave Nall. He sounds like he's kind of like trying to bring some common sense into there, but there's a Facebook thread where there's a lot of idiots saying, march them off, send them off, don't give them the freedom to practice their own religion. Check out my book if you want to know more about Islam and the aspects of it that do promote freedom and are anti-authoritarian. Obviously, there's fundamentalists in all belief systems. There's Christian fundamentalists. There's Buddhist fundamentalists, I even found out, that are trying to exterminate Christians. Maybe religion could be a part of that, but you have the freedom to practice what you want. But I think with any individual, we respect their freedom and their right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But when they violate the non-aggression principle and come after others, that's when something has to change. But we can't look at it as simply black and white. This is why it's important to understand the conspiratorial nature of our history, is that things aren't always just as simple as, oh, extreme Islam group is trying to attack the United States, let's defend ourselves, let's get all our Texans out with guns. You're going to be caught up in the middle of another religion war. The same way some people say there's trying to be a race war created, there's also those who are trying to divide us through religion and whatever other means they can. Don't let them divide you. Leave your comments below. Let me know what you think about this. Share any other information you got. Thank you for listening. As always, if you can hear this, you are the resistance. Peace.